We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and all our social media handles, as well as around the world on myjoyonline.com. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In the headlines, this are board members of the Electricity Company of Ghana reject the more than 5 million cedis fine imposed on them by the PRC, describing the Commission's actions as unlawful. Also coming up, 15-year-old at the center of the controversial Bobu traditional rite, Na Yomo Ayemwade, released from state guardianship. We'll take you to Nungwa, where residents are elated and their customs and traditions will be upheld. Also, 4 teacher unions, NAGRAT, NAT, CCT, and TEU, make fresh push for review of the free senior high school policy, calling for more investment in basic education. Also, Majority Leader describes the current doomsday as a rare challenge, but says the MPP government is up to task and will fix the situation.
Not just minimize, but efforts are being made to ensure that these things are not just minimized, but Ghanaians get uninterrupted supply of.
Now, board members of the Electricity Company of Ghana are challenging a nearly 6 million cedis fine levied against them by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, calling the directive unlawful and beyond jurisdiction. The PRC imposed a fine on ECG board members who served between January 1 and March 18, 2024, totaling 5,868,000 Ghana cedis due to a violation of Regulation 39 of LI 2413. This regulation requires prior notification to consumers for any power interruptions. The lawyer representing the implicated board members is now pushing back against the penalty. Member of our legal desk, Kenneth Jesse, joins me with more. So, Kenneth, what are the details of this letter?
Brace, as you've rightly mentioned, the lawyers are pushing back, and if you look at the statement, it says that it is patently clear that under the said provision, they've outlined the reasons PRC gave to sanction the board members of the ECG, and it says that the Commission can only impose a regulatory charge on the public utility. So they're saying that PRC can only impose a regulatory charge on ECG and not its members. It continues by saying that the Commission does not have the power or authority to purport to impose any regulatory charge on officers of the public utility. The Commission, in purporting to impose the said regulatory charges on the board members of ECG, clearly exceeded their jurisdiction, as it is not within their powers or authority to do so. It continues by saying that it must also be stated that the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited, as a corporate body, has a legal personality that is distinct from its board members. So it's saying that they should be able to distinguish the board members of ECG from the company itself. It continues to say that this is the very foundation of company law, and that the officers of the company cannot be held liable for the acts of the company. So goes on to say that the Commission's lack of jurisdiction, power, and or authority to lift the veil of incorporation in the instant matter to purport to impose regulatory charges personally on the board members of ECG is strengthened by provisions of sections 38 and 42 of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. Grace.
And it's quite instructive to note that whilst the lawyer to the board is writing to the PRC to say that you acted out of your jurisdiction, the Electricity Company of Ghana itself is also writing to the PRC to state a lot of their misgivings about this particular fine. What are they saying?
Exactly. And they've also released a statement, and it's been signed by their boss. It says that the provision mandates the PRC to give reasonable notice in requesting for any of these documents. They're talking about the bank documents they asked for. It says that following the above submissions that they've given, they strongly advise that the Commission immediately withdraws The further orders, which are dated the 15th of April 2024, directed that the ECG and its board of directors as same is null and void. It is further advised that ECG should be given the opportunity to be heard on any charges of alleged breaches of its duties and obligations following the submission of its reports pursuant to PURC orders dated the 18th of March. And it concludes by saying that as the company is going through its restructuring phase, these statements or pronouncements are eroding all the gains made by the company, and they plead with your establishment, which is PURC, for more in-depth cooperation and assistance. That is signed by the Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Samuel Dubik Muhammad Brace.
Okay. Now, on the part of the cash waterfall mechanism, you know that it was one of the major issues that the PRC spoke about, because that has to do with whether or not the players in the sector are paid. Today, ECG is saying that PURC doesn't have the right to talk about the cash waterfall mechanism unless, of course, it is using to calculate how much tariff consumers should pay.
Right.
What exactly are they saying?
Yes, and in that section, it says that the right of PRC to impose regulatory charges arises only under LI 2413, and thus PRC cannot apply any section 34 or 32, of Act 538. Section 32 of Act 538 does not in any way mention or contemplate regulatory charges. And regulatory charges is the creature of LI 2413, and these charges are applicable only to situations arising under the LI 2413 as provided in Regulations 45.6. PRC is not permitted and cannot act outside the laws that establishes and regulates it.
Okay.
In these circumstances, PRC is wrong in imposing sanctions on this ground as already submitted since the enforcement of the WCM.
Okay.
That is
the cash waterfall mechanism. All right.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Kenneth Jesse, for that. Now, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu says the PRC indeed cannot impose fines on the board members for crimes committed by the entity. He has been explaining why.
So PRC has that history that, look, they can go after directors. But right now, what we are saying, and going after directors is sanctioned under company law. You see how you even read parts of the Companies Act, right? Good. But here, the problem is that Mr. Abuafu is saying they were not given notice. You see, you didn't give the person, quote unquote, his charges. That, look, okay, let's say Mr. Kelly Gajepo, he even resigned. You failed to provide proper direction. You failed to supervise. Because, the directors are responsible for framing policy and ensuring that the policy is properly implemented by the company. So the MD and the staff are actually, loosely speaking, for lack of a better word, agents of the board.
Right.
Because the board that's responsible, ultimately responsible. So Mr. Abuafu is saying that the board members, they were not specifically told, Mr. Kelly Gajepo, we think that you have a case to answer personally. The other board members, mention them, Anodompre.
Yes, Frank Anodompre.
Who else? The lawyer.
The MD himself, yeah.
Yes. All these people, you should personally answer. Just like when you come into a court, contempt case, there's the one you can go against the company itself. Then there's the one you can go against directors. When you are going against the company, the directors will come and answer for the company. But when you are going against the directors personally, then they will respond themselves personally. So it appears the natural justice principle is quite strong. But as I've said, listen, PURC, if they are listening, they have our support. ECG has done us too much harm. You heard the unpalatable words NAPO used on us, and I'm being very charitable. A minister that we pay with taxpayers' money, he disrespected us. You want evil on Ghana, you should go and find your own timetable.
On this matter, government has commenced negotiations with private entities to take over bailing and debt collection for the Electricity Company of Ghana amidst the energy crisis. This move comes as authorities strive to prevent the collapse of the energy sector and maintain the cash waterfall mechanism, given that ECG records over 30% of revenue losses due to non-collection of debt and power theft. Michael Ashley has more from our thought leadership discussion on guaranteeing reliable power supply.
All 8 guests unanimously agree that the primary challenges contributing to the country's unstable energy situation were revenue mobilization and difficulties in procuring and distributing fuel efficiently.
Energy sector faced 2 main challenges arising from forces external to the sector. And these were, 1, lack of inadequate and secure quantities of reasonably priced fuel for power generation, and the lack of adequate public funds to finance the sector's investments requirements. We need to take another look at the finance.
I don't have a problem.
I don't think we've been very prudent with the financing of the ECG.
Okay.
There have been instances when monies have been diverted for other purposes. And so we need to critically look at it. We are managing ECG financing like a chop bar type of accounting.
But the overarching challenge there is finance. And finance is in 2 sides. There's finance to run and there's finance to earn. I would have liked a situation where we are today with all the institutions. Let's do an audit on all of them.
Even the former Deputy Energy Minister, Andrew Ejapamensah, agrees with them.
Truth be told, we've had some maintenance issues, some of which have been resolved, some of it is ongoing, and we had some challenges with fuel, which on a daily basis, depending on what is available, then determines.
However, he maintains that the primary issue lies in fuel procurement, attributing the erratic power problem to the ECG, which is currently grappling with overloaded transformers.
So the fuel being expensive is true. But I still don't see where that personal interest arises. The outages numbers, right? 85% of it is ECG problem.
Okay.
It's not gridco. It's not the generation problem. That's only about 15% per data that I have seen. So you see clearly that if you are relying on ECG system for a certain kind of industry that requires power 24 hours, tendency for you to want to go, especially if you are a bulk consumer, to go directly to get from the generator is high.
Ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapo, strongly believes that if the current situation persists, the energy sector is headed towards collapse.
IPP is a little over 1 billion. Fuel-related expenditure, almost 800 million. So today, if you were to flush out the energy sector debts and bring the books to a healthy path, you will need about $1.8 billion in order to deal with energy sector related debts. And so the bills are compounding and it's threatening the sector. Look, my worry is that if we continue on this trajectory, in 1 year time, the sector will collapse.
Michael Nyantichi, General Secretary of the Public Utilities Workers Union, contends that over the past few years, the ECG has made efforts to enhance its revenue collection. However, he alleges that both the VRA and GRICO have collaborated to lure away some of their major dependable customers who typically pay for their electricity they use, thus disrupting their revenue targets.
ECG puts in a lot of effort, and everybody who wants to be objective can attest that for the past almost 2 years, the effort has been made to enhance the revenue. Then there are also this subtle thing being played out between GRIDCO and VRA, where because of some loophole in the law, some key customers of ECG are being poached. And these were customers who could pay easily and contribute towards the cash waterfall. But ECG is losing these customers. GRIDCO, together with VRA, is giving them some form of rebates My head, I remember the B5, and then also some time ago, some of the mines were also taken away. And I think there was one steel plant which is also more or less being targeted.
Some of the problem, according to the former commissioner of PURC, Dr. Ni Daku Kobina Asante, is due to power theft, which he says is a major problem.
There are private entities who are not paying ECG for power they are consuming.
Now, Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin says the current doomsday situation is a rare challenge, but says government will address the situation. Addressing journalists in Parliament earlier today, the Majority Leader said the country did not experience a power crisis at the height of the economic challenge, which is a testament to the fact that this was indeed a novel situation. The Efutu MP says the NDC does not have any alternative to the challenge and will worsen it if elected into office.
We are having some power outages. We can't run away from it. It's a major challenge and it affects industry. What I can say is that so far the assurances we are having from the sector is that efforts are being made to ensure that these things are not just minimized, but Ghanaians get uninterrupted supply of power. In any event, we know that for 7 years, even during COVID, a critical moment that businesses came to a standstill, a critical moment that government revenue came almost to zero, government kept the lights on. So it's a rare challenge. It's a rare challenge that we're going through. 7 years, no power outage. In the most difficult time in our economy, 2020, 2021, 2022, most difficult time, where the city was suffering, where everything was virtually at a standstill, the economy was virtually on its knees, we kept the lights on. So it should tell you about our efficiency, our competence in ensuring that we address critical challenges of the economy. So yes, these power outages we are experiencing will not lay back, would get on, head on, and solve, like we did when we assumed office.
Meanwhile, the Majority Leader says the NPP has shown that they are better managers of the economy, imploring Ghanaians to keep it in office to continue restoring the economy to a stable footing.
NPP administration reviewed the tax policy it inherited. For instance, the following were abolished. The 1% special levy on import was abolished. The 17% VAT on financial services was abolished. The 17% on selected imported medicines that were already in place was also abolished. And in this case, let me say that those who were producing, the pharmaceutical companies that were doing local production, were given that dispensation to enable them make savings. I'm saying that all of these were done. It was a cost to government because abolishing taxes or reducing percentage in terms of tax that you have inherited would mean less money to you as a government, less revenue. Whilst doing this, we implemented free SHS. So it should tell you that there is a government that cares, there is a government that believes in value for money and knows how to allocate resources for the benefit of the vulnerable. So an opposition propaganda should not mislead Ghanaians that they are better managers of this economy and, for that matter, the educational sector.
Away from that, the Japan Circuit Court has sentenced a 41-year-old truck driver to a 6-month jail term for abandoning his vehicle on the Tema and Pakistan rail lines, which damaged the government's newly acquired train, which was on a test ride. The following report has more.
The judgment stems from the driver's admission of guilt to 3 out of 4 charges, including careless driving, unauthorized stopping, and causing harm along the Tema and Pakistan rail lines. The judge, Prosper Duolove Gomashi,
in delivering the verdict, took into account the defendant's family situation, considering his marital status and 3 children. Moreover, the court commended the defendant for his initial guilty plea, which streamlined the legal proceedings. Prior to the sentencing, the Ghana Police Service apprehended a driver of a Hyundai truck with registration number GS 9018-20 on suspicion of causing an accident involving a diesel multiple unit train on the Tema-Mpakadan railway line on the 18th of April. Initial investigations suggest that the driver left the vehicle unattended to on the railway line, leading to a collision with the train. The collision occurred despite the train's attempt to brake upon encountering the stationary vehicle. Unfortunately, the train could not come to a complete stop, resulting in the collision, as detailed in the police statement.
The Ashanti Regional Directorate of the Ghana Health Service has taken delivery of anti-malaria medication and other essential medicines from Bliss GVS Pharma, valued at 182,000 cedis. The anti-malaria medications are to be supplied to rural clinics and CHIPS compounds to benefit low-income households. The intervention by the global pharmaceutical company Bliss GVS Pharma is to reduce the burden of malaria treatment on African governments. Here is a report by Clinton Yeboah.
Ghana is among the high-burdened countries for malaria infections and recently reported a notable increase in malaria cases. Ashanti region is among the 3 regions with the highest malaria prevalence in pregnancy. Bliss GVS Pharma, a global pharmaceutical company recognizing this, has made a significant contribution to efforts of Ghana Health Services and other stakeholders in the fight against malaria. Bliss GVS Pharma Ghana and the Act for Africa, an initiative towards a malaria-free continent, has donated about 28 cartons of anti-malaria drugs, antibiotics and essential drugs to the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate. The drugs will help reduce morbidity and mortality caused by malaria infections in rural areas. Deputy Administrator at the Regional Health Directorate, Michael Asari Bidiakon, says the drugs will aid vulnerable and deprived demographics who are susceptible to malaria infections.
These malaria medicines will go a long way to support the indigents at the community level, where most of the people who are there are poor. Going into the health centers and the CHIPS, where the most vulnerable are, especially the pregnant women and children. So it will go a long way to support the healthcare delivery in the system. And the GOG, the compensation takes a chunk of the GOG funds. So we are supported by health partners. But the corporate organizations like Bliss GVS, if they come on board to support us with medicines, it will go a long way to support the system.
The contribution of Bliss GVS Pharma with the anti-methicillin-based combination therapy, including Lonart, P-Alexin, for the treatment of uncomplicated malaria, will help improve the availability and accessibility of anti-malaria drugs in Ashanti and other selected regions. The gesture, which is in its 4th year, is to commemorate World Malaria Day yearly. Pharmacist at the Bliss GV Pharma, Bismarck Amponsa, says the assistance is part of the company's corporate social responsibility and commitment to improving healthcare in Ghana.
Our major target is those in the rural areas at the district level, community level, and in our villages who are mostly deprived of quality healthcare. If you look at the scope of people who are affected by malaria every year, it's quite a huge number. And because of that, people end up losing their lives. We have millions of people losing their lives every year from malaria infestation, including children, mothers, pregnant women, the old men and old women. And as part of our corporate social responsibility, our country head, Mr. Vivek Patel, together with our general CEO, Mr. Gagan Sharma, have taken it upon themselves to donate anti-malaria medications, amongst other drugs, to the Regional Health Directorate, various Regional Health Directorates every year.
Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Away from that, pre-tertiary teacher union say they will reject any flowery promises made by politicians on campaign platforms. To them, promises of political parties should be well researched and codified in party manifestos. President of the NAGRAT, Angel Kagbonu, says the acceptance of similar promises by the electorate is to blame for the slow pace of development. Nana Yaljima was at an engagement between teacher unions and the NDC flag bearer John Mahama, and as far as this report.
Leadership of all pre-tertiary teacher unions were present at the engagement. The teachers presented a document on their concerns in the education sector for consideration into the NDC's manifesto. In an opening statement, spokesperson of the unions, Angel Kagbonu, commended former President Mahama for his refusal to make any promise on increment of remuneration of teachers on his tour of the country.
That the time has come where we stop making flowery promises on the spur of the moment, moved by the excitement and jubilation of the crowd. And we feel that those type of platform promises is what has brought us to where we find ourselves today.
The teacher unions further made a request for a review of condition of service and improvement in the sector. Mr. Kagbonu requested the use of mother tongue in education of pupils at the basic level.
It has been found by linguistics that when you teach children in their local languages, they are able to appreciate and understand concepts more than when you teach them in a foreign language like English language.
Mr. Mahama explained his request for a honeymoon in response to the teachers' demands.
And so I said I was not going to make that promise and that they should give a bit of a honeymoon. And that is what I said that was misinterpreted, to say that I want a honeymoon when I become president. I had a honeymoon with Auntie Lodina 30-something years ago. And so I don't require any honeymoon. I meant we should give the economy a honeymoon. We'll see what is there, and as we create, we can share.
Mr. Mahama further reviewed the NDC's plan to ensure the use of mother tongue in education at the basic level.
The use of first language as a medium of instruction from KG to Basic 3 sits well with our own policies. This was especially so under Prof. Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as the then Minister of Education. She advocated this policy directly. This policy will be considered alongside the training of more teachers in the local major Ghanaian languages to make its implementation effective. The NDC agrees with you on the need to establish libraries in the basic schools to inculcate the culture of reading in the pupils. This is necessary not only for knowledge but also for pleasure, which is gradually diminishing in the basic schools. The need to ensure the provision of relevant textbooks, workbooks, and teaching and learning materials were vigorously pursued under my administration. And I remember that under Jane Nana, we were able to supply all the 4 core textbooks to the children at the basic level, including the teachers. And so everybody had the books. Distribution of school uniforms was also done alongside the distribution of textbooks. Presently, the distribution of textbooks is a critical issue at the basic school level.
For Joy News, Nana Yaljima, Accra.
Well, for teacher unions, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, the National Association of Teachers, Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Ghana, and TEU are pushing for a review of the free senior high school policy. The groups raised the concern during a meeting with flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama. They said the next government must review the policy, refocusing some more attention to basic education.
His Excellency, we are also not happy that emphasis is placed on other levels of education, sidelining the most important part of education, which is the basic school education, which should be the foundation of education for every country. We appreciate the free senior high school concept, but we believe that the time has come for us to review the free senior high school concept to make it work and achieve its intended purpose. However, we have relegated to the background basic school education.
This is still the Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more news. At the center of the controversial Bobu traditional rite, Na Yomo Ayemode has been released from state guardianship. Some residents of Nungua poured onto the street to celebrate the release of the 15-year-old girl, who they say is the Queen, Maxwell Agbagba, and Kenneth Jesse have been following the story, and they filed this report.
It's a busy day here on the streets of Nungua with a lot of people going about their normal duties. Well, yesterday, many of them poured onto the streets to celebrate and jubilate over the release of Na Yomo Ayemode from protective state custody. Some of them days ago massed up at the Coconut Grove Hotel demanding her release. Yesterday, there was a press conference at the Ministry of Information where the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Samuel Asamoah Boateng, addressed the press.
She wasn't married to the Bogulame. It's a ritual which she has been initiated into it at age 6, and she was focused on it. All they did was to elevate her status to a Queen Mother of that deity. So there was no marriage.
Gender Minister Designate Akua Newman said Na Kromo will be released to her family by the close of today, the 18th of April 2024, after the family was made to sign a bond.
I would like you all to know that the medical assessment on the child, it indicates that she's not pregnant and she has no immediate health concerns. Na Okromo's date of birth, from records at her creche and her primary schools she attended, indicates that she's 15 years old, and she was born on the 18th of July 2008. The child will continue to pursue her education, and the Attorney General has issued an interim report which is dated 18th April 2024 and has advised that in the best interest of the child and in accordance with Section 2 and 5 of the Children's Act, the child should be released to her parents pending their complete review of the docket. Thus, the child will be reunited with her family today, 18th April 2024, after the parents have signed a bond.
Your Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuayabua says the Attorney General's office is still reviewing the docket of this case and no conclusion has been reached yet.
Marriage or not, we have not come to any conclusion on that issue yet. So the officers in the ministry are reviewing the docket, and when we come to any conclusion on that issue, it will be made known to the public.
Today at the temple of the Gbobu Wolomo, who was stationed there for some hours, it was busy with a lot of elders moving into the compound and also stepping out. We were told the Gbobu Wolomo himself was at his temple where he was having discussions with some of the elders of the community. All of them are tight-lipped and will not speak to us. For some of the residents who've been interacting with, who wouldn't want to speak on camera, they told us that they are excited that Na Yomo Ayemode has been released from protective state custody, and they believe that that would allow tradition to continue.
Well, let's do some election headquarters stories. And remember, election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, Chartered Institute of Management Accountant, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountant, and German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, election headquarters for an informed electorate. Now, the Ministry of Roads and Highways has intensified the pace of construction of some roads in the Ejisu constituency as a parliamentary by-election draws near. Contractors have doubled up activities on the road, some of which were already under construction. Some constituents who are awed at the speed of work say their minds are made up in going to the polls. Nanaya Ojima visited the constituency and gauged the mood of the electorate. And as far as this report.
Caterpillars and other earth-moving equipment have been deployed on the Onye-Kontenase Road. On March 28, many mourners, including government functionaries, used this road, which was riddled with potholes, to attend the one-week rite of the late MP for Ejoso, John Kuma. But the road is currently undergoing massive transformation. Minister for Roads and Highways, Francis Asenso-Boakye, addressed NPP supporters at Ejoso.
Contractors are contractors are Kessia.
All the contractors working in Ejoso are established ones. One of the best contractors in the country is Kofi Joe. He's the one working on the Onye stretch. The work being done here is amazing. On the Donyina Road, Luma is seriously fixing the road.
There's another contractor, the friend of Lome, also here, MJB, and so air twice so honor. Atashi, a child room, or one of the best contractors.
According to the minister, 247 kilometers of the road projects are being undertaken in the area. 73 kilometers of the roads are under highways, 83 kilometers under feeder roads, and urban roads have 93 kilometers. In setting the records straight, the NPP government says it is solely responsible for the projects. Kofi Ampofo Japan is constituency chair of the NPP.
Acquire no Obiswa na and also Madaro Manyano road minister. So
someone is taking credit for the roads being done in the area. If that was true, the individual would have been named here. If you want power, just be truthful.
Meanwhile, some electorate in the Ejoso constituency say the intensity of work on the roads is election-related. Respondents, however, say this will not influence their decision at the polls.
The
roads are being done for our votes. This happens whenever there is an election. Sometimes they abandon the road after the election. The roads are for political reasons. They can pack out after the election. I am bent on bringing back the former MP, Owusu Ediomi. It is good they are building the roads, but they should also give us money. We want them to give us jobs. We are strong enough, but we do not have any jobs.
Joy News checks at Kumawu, where a by-election was recently held, has revealed road construction in the area have slowed down. The roads were started days before the by-election. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Well, still in Ejiso, 6 candidates have filed to contest in the upcoming by-election at Ejiso constituency at the close of filing on Thursday. The seat was declared vacant after demise of MP John Ampotua Kuma. 3 independent candidates, including former MPP MP Kwabena Osu-Adiomi, filed to be part of the process. 2 women who will be in the race include Esther Osei for the CPP and Beatrice Boakye for the LPG. The MPP is seeking to retain the seat with Kwabena Boateng. Joseph Atakra is among the independent candidates. A public servant, Oheneba Fridia Ejeman, is hoping to break the monopoly of the New Patriotic Party in the constituency.
Thank you very much. You see, what I've observed is that when you talk about revival starts from somewhere. At least maybe one person can raise alarm. That was in Askan Choboy, and you say yay. So I'm raising an alarm that we need change from that mindset, political, party. That there. If you paint even this vehicle there in some colors of any party, we will vote for that people. We have to change. That we will vote for the people, not for the party. So that's why I'm advocacy for the constituency, the people of my area, that they will vote for Freddy Ajimai, who is going to represent the people, not to represent party. Very recently, we saw some primaries over there to elect one person. We have, as you are saying, almost 80,000 people, and just 1,000 and something people decide for the whole constituency because of what they earn from that. 9 people contesting. Go and ask. I don't want to mention name. Some of the aspirants are complaining that this and this and this nowadays is negotiation. You give me how much? Do you give me? How much do you give me? We have to change from that mindset. That's my advocacy.
Are you facing the same challenge in your campaign? Are people now demanding something from you?
When you go to the grassroots people, Nana, now also by my saying, oh, my brother. And I always say, this is what I'm advocating for. That we will change from that area, say Obama is saying, then focusing on the mindset of the person, the ideology. What is he campaigning for? Is he going there for himself or for the people? I'm just from one of your sister stations, and I learned some campaign officers are there. Some people are tied. Hey.
This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz Tuesday. All right, so welcome back. Let's do showbiz now. You know what? It's always a pleasure to welcome this young lady to the show. Bex is in the house. How you doing?
I'm okay. Where have you been? You've been busy.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I mean, it's good to be busy. This evening, let's talk about E-Vibes. Let's talk about Ntokozo. She's a gospel musician from South Africa, and I had a conversation with her. It's still showing actually on the Joy News and the Joy Prime channel. I had a long conversation with her, and she's been talking about the gospel music industry in South Africa and, you know, comparing it to Ghana. Apparently, in South Africa, when you're a gospel musician, you just, you know, do music, concentrate on the music. It pays, actually. I mean, it's the first time that I heard something like that. So here is Ntokozo giving us details of how the industry in South Africa works.
I think what I've noticed in the Ghanaian music industry is that most of the people who are in the industry have other jobs that they do as well, right? I don't know if that's true.
Most of them.
Most of them have other jobs and other things that they're doing as well. Whereas with South Africa, our industry is actually quite strong in the sense that you're able to do music and music alone. Right. I don't know if that makes sense.
That's interesting.
It is. I think that's probably one of the biggest things.
That's what we've been fighting for, really. I mean, they've been fighting for. So just go ahead and do music so that you don't have to worry about the other things. But the system doesn't really support, like the way you're saying that it supports you. The system doesn't really support unless you're putting your work on a streaming platform that is earning you money, that you know that you don't necessarily have to work.
Yeah. But it's taken a long time, though, and there's still some injustices as well back home. And I believe that it's worth working towards and trying to rectify those injustices and creating a better industry, even for the next generation, as the generation that has gone before us. They've tried to, create an industry that supports us in some kind of way, but it can definitely be much better, and I think that for me is probably the biggest difference between the Ghanaian industry and the South African music industry. The talent is incredible here. The productions are amazing. The ones that I've been blessed to be part of, production-wise, it's been incredible. The talent has been amazing to see. The songs are amazing. I love Ghanaian songs.
Nina, yeah. Who taught you that song? Tokozo right there. Let's move away from Tokozo. Let's talk about gospel musician Padmore, because he has released a soul-stirring song that pays homage to the exceptional women in his life. The song titled Enapa is an expression of gratitude and admiration for the tireless effort and sacrifices made by mothers and women everywhere. This is coming right on time because Mother's Day is just around the corner. So you can use this song to celebrate mothers across the world, your wife as well, and everybody. But Brace, let's move on. Remember we told you about Kofi-Atta's song. When he came, we had a beautiful conversation with him about the Efie Kuma Broken Heart. He's actually released a video to that effect. So this is a new video alert for those of you who haven't seen it. You're seeing it here first. Crazy. Yeah. We came all this way for nothing. I know you're in awe about Kofi-Atta. You're always in awe.
You know,
I know. I feel you.
You need to call this guy the West Gold.
West Gold.
West Gold. But he's a gold of we the Westerners.
Right.
I mean, like you ask yourself, who would have carried on the legacy of all those greats? But for him.
Kofi-Atta.
Yeah. And look, the music carries a certain. He's not just singing.
Right.
There's a message he's putting, and the message encapsulates you. As I sit here, I'm trying to put myself in the video.
Right. I see how you feel. There's somebody actually also, from the Western region, Jeduble Ambule.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me tell you about him and all the events that are happening tomorrow. Jeduble Ambule is actually celebrating his 77th birthday party, and Atongo Zimba will be performing tomorrow at the Plus 233 Jazz Bar. So for those of you who love Jeduble Ambule, you can just go out there and support
the Simgwa rap man.
Simungwa rapper.
Yeah.
And also for those of you who love comedy, the comedy industry is celebrating comedians and everything comedy tomorrow, and so for those who are in the comedy sector, there's something happening for you as well tomorrow at the Snap Cinemas in Accra. So you shouldn't miss this for anything. Also, when you come to Joy News and Joy Prime, there's E-Vibes happening. Tokozo's sets will be on. We'll be having that conversation all over again for those of you who've missed it. I know, Brace, you did miss it. So yeah, we'll bring you that conversation. Also, this evening, Stoneboy is performing at Austin Reggae Festival. So keep it on your calendar for those of you who are in the US. I think that is already happening. So we give it to you. Hopefully next week, when we come back here on Monday, Brace, we will give you a recap of everything that happened at the weekend. I will be at almost all the events. Nicolas says that he'll be at the Comedy Awards, so be expecting that. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so grateful that you could join us this time. Oh, we're so sad that we're leaving, but we'll see you. We'll see you next week, please. Well, Brace.
Thanks for joining us and enjoy this Kofi-Atta song.
Bye.
Bye. Enjoy your weekend.